Good afternoon, and today I'll be talking about Germany. Just kidding, it's not actually Germany, but a German knight, a scale model of a German knight from Mini Art. I got him right here, so I might as well show it here rather than describe it, because I'm not very good at describing things, but here it is. It's this guy. It's not very clear in the main video, but I'll be propping up some clips of him with the better camera. So this was made from a scale model kit from Mini Art. It's a 1/16 scale of a 15th century German knight. So it's still 15th century Germany, so it's basically the Holy Roman Empire at that point. The eagle, the black eagle with yellow background, that's their heraldry from before. And yeah, it looks pretty cool. And the nice thing about this is that it is literally the the primary colors: yellow, like red pants, and the blue belt and buckles. So I had everything on hand. And this was a very, it was very relaxing to paint this, and it gave me the new experience of like using sticks to hold up each individual piece. So I think I'll be tackling on how I made this. But anyways, I bought this along with the medieval challenge kit after I passed the board exams as sort of like a gift, because I thought at that time I could finish 2 scale model kits or / miniatures. But little did I know that these things take a long time, and the money, these were rather cheap miniatures, but again, with all crafting, all scale modeling stuff, the real investment is time, and to make up time for that was the difficult part. However, I did make time for it eventually, and I finished it. So for this kit, what really drew my attention to it was, of course, it's German. Because I have 1/8 blood German. My German blood isn't some ancient ancestry or I'm like literally half German. No, just 1/8. Like that tiny amount, 1/8 German blood is so potent that I look like a foreigner. Basically, guess what country I'm in? And yeah, I don't look like the common average citizen of my country, unfortunately, but hey, life is RNG, basically. But anyways, the scale model, like my other medieval challenge one, I bathed it in soapy water. I wanted to like clean it up, because looking at both those boxes, and this box in particular, these are quite old molds. And so cleaning them was, better safe than sorry. And so after cleaning them, I let them dry and whatnot, and I started priming them with a primer, of course. And it was a gray primer, so it was very confusing whether or not that spot was primed. And so I just made like a few thin coats of primer until, I was confident that everything is now primed. Coloring it, though, I actually first started off with the metallics, because the metallics are like, on the more complicated but wide surfaces of the model. Like the torso of this is just pure yellow, right? So the cool thing about this is that I painted them piece by piece. I didn't build the model completely first and then started painting. Rather, I put them on tiny sticks and just used that to paint them individually, the parts that is. And so I did the metals first, and then I did the red clothing, the pants, and then the blue buckles and belts. For some reason, the hardest part of painting this model was the torso, which is like this wide yellow fabric. And I thought it was gonna be easy, but unfortunately it seems yellow pigment in acrylic paints is very thin. And when I put down the paint, it's like I can still see through the gray primer. I put so many layers of yellow that it became crinkly, like the layers were adding up and the surface became uneven. And it's not really clear here, but the surface was so uneven that when I put the transfer sheet on, it didn't like cover the surface very well. It was like crinkly and whatnot. To be fair though, the crinkly surface at least added texture to the, rather flat torso. It's supposed to be like clothing on armor. Instead, it looks like, just a bulbous, bulbous thing. But anyways, that's all fine and good because at the end, I don't really mind. From this distance, from this viewing distance, it's very much alright and fine. Now, the funny thing, to me the funniest part of this painting was the face. And the face is actually obscured by the helmet. However, I can actually lift the visor up and we can see the face. I'm just gonna have to be careful with the visor. I'm using my one hand for this. And so yeah, the face, you can actually see it. And I'll bring up a more clearer picture, but yeah, the face was technically the most difficult to paint out of all the parts because it wasn't just a simple, one color thing, but you had to paint the flesh, the eyes, the eyebrows, the lips, and the red spots, the more paler spots, and yeah, it was a variety thing. However, it turned out very well. I liked it. I even have like funny little photos of just the face being painted, and it was just, it was just humorous at the moment. Just the wide-eyed expression, just the blank, the blank emotionless expression. But I did put like tiny white dots on the on the eyes, and it made them, a bit better. Nonetheless, the model turned out relatively well, and I like it. It's a fun thing, and because it's so big, compared to like the tiny miniature Warhammer models, it was so much easier to paint. It was less stressful, although painting miniatures itself is, small in stress itself. Yeah, it was less stressful, and that was that. Now, painting this, I'm gonna miss this. Because I painted maschinen krieger before and I enjoyed them very much. Again, bigger models, easier to paint, it's more of a zen experience than anything else. And this German Knight was a good experience. Again, it's not like, oh my god, it's amazing, life-changing or whatever, but it was a nice little serene experience that I got to do, and while I still have the time and opportunity to do so. Now, there's not much to talk about the German Knight itself, but yeah, maybe I'd like to talk about my connections with Germany. Now, my bloodline, again, look at me, I'm a half-breed, basically. And, as a kid, I was always told that, I'm not a real Filipino. That I'm a foreigner. Even though I was like born in this place, I was raised in this place, I never really got outside of the Philippines until I was like 19, and I was only outside the Philippines in Japan for like 5 days, and then I came back here. I've lived most of my life here in the Philippines, like in this city that I live in, and being called a foreigner, that's yeah, I understand that, but back then as a kid, just like, well, why are people calling me a foreigner? I've been born here. I lived here my entire life, but learning much about the world as you grow older, yeah, you kind of get why people call you that, why people call you this or that, depending on your situation, of course. In my situation, yeah, foreigner-looking Filipino, curly hair, pale-ass skin. I always wondered about that, and then, when I was told by my parents that, oh yeah, you have German ancestry, so, oh, okay, that makes sense now, and it was only 1/8. And my friend would, and a friend of mine would point out that even though it's only 1/8, it's like it's so potent that you look like this. Anyways, it got me into German history, and it was so cool because it was connected to the Roman history. And as men, everyone likes to learn about the Roman history. And in that history, the Romans actually, subjugated Germans. Before, at that time, Germany wasn't actually a country yet, rather a group of tribes. And, they were basically subjected to slavery at that point. They were under the Roman Empire until they, revolted. And eventually they sacked Rome, and the Goths, as they were called back then, they kind of took over, and so on and so forth. History went on, and something happened last century that we don't really, which is not wise to talk about. And I don't really want to talk about the time, but medieval Germany, goddamn. I like the eagle heraldry. It's cool. It's basically Warhammer. If you look at the eagle heraldry of of this 15th century German knight, it's the two eagles facing left and right. Although in Warhammer 40k, the imperial symbol, basically the empire of mankind, the Imperium of Man, has one eagle that's blind facing right and another eagle that's not blind facing left. So basically learning from the past but looking at the future blindly. Something of that sort. But that's Warhammer. This is just Germany. Eagle, they just like eagles, I guess. But of course, it's more than that. Anyways, that's my this is my video of the German knight that I painted, that I built and painted piece by piece and then glued together to create this nice little table scale model that I can put this on my desktop and as a decoration, basically. It's an art piece, and then every time I look at it, I remember those memories, especially like the face. The face, I remember those memories of painting them. Just, I don't know. It's good memories. It's like a reminder of good times. And even though the experience is the thing that I actually appreciate with these things, in the end they create physical products or digital products that kind of semi-immortalize what I went through, and they're like mementos of my life. And that's about it. That's all I can say for now. I don't want to ramble for too long until I speak nonsense. But that's all for now. Thank you for your time, and until then, I'll see you.